Koonic seeks Director of Major Gifts and Planned Giving to advance philanthropic support. Learn more at knba.org. Koonic seeks a General Manager of Media to lead content and operations. Learn more at knba.org.
Welcome to Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. A tribal executive, a Yupik language advocate, an elementary school teacher, and a legal researcher are among this year's class of Champions for Change, and they're all under the age of 25. It's part of the decade-long program by the Center for Native American Youth that recognizes promising young leaders pursuing positive change in their communities. We're going to hear from some of them today about what drives their passion for service. That's right after the news.
This is National Native News. I'm Brian Bull, sitting in for Antonia Gonzalez. It's been a month since hundreds of members of a Northern Ontario First Nation were put in hotels across the province after a water crisis. Many, however, have chosen to stay at their reserve. As Dan Karpinchuk reports, a state of emergency was declared in early January after a parasite was found in water samples and led to dozens of cases of gastrointestinal illnesses.
Medical staff left Kashechewan a week ago after consultation with community leaders, but they say residents who remain will still be able to access health care services. Lisa Westaway is the regional executive for Indigenous Services Canada.
We worked with WAHA, the Winnebago Area Health Authority, Orange, which is land-based emergency response, and Ministry of Health to ensure that services are in place for community members who choose to remain in Kashechewan.
Band leaders in Kashechewan declared a state of emergency on January 4th after damage to the water system that led to sewage seeping into people's homes, creating a public health and safety issue. More than 1,500 people were sent to communities across Ontario, including Niagara Falls, Timmins, and Kingston. Less than 400 decided to stay. Tyson Wesley is the executive director of the Kashechewan First Nation.
A lot of people currently in the community are deciding to stay. However, we're trying to develop some plans to allow them to be there, such as our community across the river, Fort Albany. So we're trying to see how they can access healthcare.
More than 60 band members at the fly-in community on the western shore of James Bay have been diagnosed with the parasite Cryptosporidium, which causes gastrointestinal symptoms such as cramps, diarrhea, nausea, fever, and vomiting. Most cases are resolved without medication over a couple of weeks. It's still unclear when people will be able to return home. For National Native News, I'm Dan Karpinchuk.
Tribal leaders from across the country spoke out this week at a U.S. Senate hearing against possible changes within the Small Business Administration program that supports Native entities. Alaska Desk's Alona Naiden reports.
The 8A Business Development Program provides federal contracting opportunities to socially disadvantaged individuals or tribes. U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski co-led the oversight hearing focused on the program.
It delivers mission-critical work for civilian and defense agencies, and it promotes economic development in Native communities while helping to fulfill the federal trust responsibility.
But over the past year, the Federal Small Business Administration and other agencies have launched audits into the program and announced a sweeping suspension of companies participating in it. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth also announced on social media last month that his department would be
taking a sledgehammer to the oldest DEI program in the federal government.
Murkowski says that Native-owned businesses participate in the program because Congress recognized the government's trust and treaty obligations to Native communities.
And that was not based on race. It was not based on DEI.
Catherine Carlton is Inupiat from Cordova and is the president of Chugach Alaska Corporation. Her organization has participated in the program for decades and has benefited from its economic opportunities.
For us, it provided the pathway to recover from the devastating Exxon Valdez oil spill in our region.
Polly Watson is vice president of operations at Bristol Bay Native Corporation and says her organization has several businesses participating in the 8A program. Watson says the corporation participation reinvests the revenue it receives through government contracts back into community. One example is a partnership with the State Division of Motor Vehicles to deliver mobile DMV services.
To bring real ID and driver's license services to 7 villages in the Bristol Bay region, serving 544 rural residents.
Tribal leaders and senators from Nevada, Oklahoma, Montana, and Hawaii all spoke in support of the Native participation in the 8A program. In Anchorage, I am Alona Naiden.
This is National Native News. I'm Brian Bull.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support for law and justice-related programming provided by Hobbs, Strauss, Dean & Walker, LLP, a national law firm dedicated to promoting and defending tribal rights for over 40 years. More information available at hobbsstrauss.com.
Skugtash. For more than 40 years, Ramona Farms has revived ancient traditional foods, tepary beans, pinoli, polentas, and more, all from store.ramonafarms.com. Ramona Farms supports this show. Omye.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.
This is Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. Every year, the Center for Native American Youth picks a handful of young Native Americans who have inspirational leadership qualities. They all exemplify a drive to bring positive change to their communities. The program fosters leadership and advocacy skills. This year, they've selected 6 such individuals from across the country who, in their short time as adults, have each demonstrated impressive drive for public service and leadership. Today, we'll speak with champions like Michaelyn Peters, who is the executive director of the Menominee Nation, while also pursuing a degree from Johns Hopkins University. Or Kayla Tovis, who's studying government at Cornell University and is already taking steps to improve access to Indigenous-based education. We also want to hear from listeners today. You can join us with a comment or question for this year's Champions for Change. The number to call, 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE, and you can also comment on our website or social media pages. 4 of the 6 Champions for Change are joining us now from Washington, D.C. Summer Wildbill is a citizen of the Confederated Tribes of Umatilla. Summer, hello, and welcome to Native America Calling.
Hello, Sean. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Michaelyn Peters is Menominee. Michaelyn, hello to you too. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Sean.
Moses Wiseman is Yupik from the village of Chefornik. Moses, hello, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Sean.
And Kayla Tovis is Kanakamaoli and Acoma Pueblo. Kayla, welcome to Native America Calling to you as well.
Aloha, my Sean.
Aloha. It's wonderful to have all of you on the show today. And Summer, I want to begin with you. The cohort, you folks have been on Capitol Hill this week, visiting with lawmakers, holding panel discussions. What else does the role of a champion for change entail?
So it's been a super busy and exciting week for all of us, and I think it's been a great opportunity for us to be able to kind of come into our roles of advocacy and really being able to share our ideas. And I think just becoming confident in our own youth voices and our areas of advocacy. But throughout this week, we've also gotten the opportunity to attend Senate committee hearings, and also we've really been working a lot with the concept of sovereignty and kind of how sovereignty applies to our different areas of interest. And we've got to hear from wonderful leaders, and we've had a great CNAY staff as well that's really guided us through this week and Hill preparations. And yeah, it's been a wonderful week overall.
It sounds like it. Now, all of you were selected because you exemplify strong leadership qualities. Summer, you mentioned sovereignty and how that's kind of an overarching theme of what all of you folks are focused on. But tell me more about your view of leadership and what's drawing you to pursue so many interests.
Yeah, I think for me is I constantly want to learn. I constantly want to kind of take my view and perspective and see how it can apply to different areas of interest and different areas of advocacy. I guess applying that to my interest of financial education, and I have a strong belief that oftentimes when we hear sovereignty, that is followed up by self-sufficiency. And as we are becoming more economically independent as tribes, I think it's very important that as tribal members, for the future of wealth building in our youth, that we practice economic sovereignty at an individual level to hopefully build stronger tribal economies.
And in that regard, you're very focused on financial literacy, and you're actually building a financial learning app in collaboration with your tribe. Tell me more about this app. What's it going to look like, and what do you hope it accomplishes?
Yeah, of course. So I started this app with my tribe in 2024. And my goal of the app is to create a financial literacy curriculum that is tailored towards Native American communities. And that includes a learning-based pedagogy that focuses on value-based learning rather than outcome-based and just figuring out what you know about financial literacy. One of my goals with this pedagogy is to start at what I believe to be the most foundational aspect of money, which is the emotional and behavior component, and kind of how just one understands their relationship with money currently and their money mindset towards it. And one of my beliefs is that with money, a lot of it isn't just what you know about finances, but about the emotional component and how we grew up around finances, and kind of destigmatizing the way we view money and changing it to be money instead of it being, and a lot of the times our culture, something that can be negative, turn into a moment of empowerment. And how can we empower our youth to learn about money that is aligned with our values and not always westernized values? So this can be aligning money with how can we give back to our communities? How can we give back to our families? How can we align value with purpose? And definitely just tailoring around more of a Native American perspective.
This is really exciting. Behavioral economics, huge area of research right now. Summer, what about you, your own personal relationship with money? How have you evolved, and how have you learned a lot of this information to the point that now you want to give back?
So for me, I knew that I kind of grew up in a household with a lot of financial instability, which caused me a lot of anxiety regarding finances growing up. And I think for me, once I was able to acknowledge my parents' past patterns and their kind of the past emotional behavior and cyclical cycles that they kind of lived through and kind of passed on, and I wanted to be the one that broke the cycle, I decided to take it upon myself to teach myself financial education and become very financially literate, because I realized that there was a lot of opportunities just through being able to hold myself to be financially empowered and being able to be financially independent, not only as a woman, but as a Native American woman, is super foundational for my personal sovereignty and my personal self-sufficiency. So I kind of just got very into learning about personal finance. And once I started, I would say, like, being able to grow my money and being able to show the longevity of just wealth building and being able to show just how simple financial disciplines can compound over time. And I shared that with some of my community members. I realized that I was able to kind of change a lot of their perspectives on their money being, instead of just this short, fast resource, kind of how to make it last longer and how to align that with their goals and help better serve our communities.
Okay, Summer, so next time I need help making a budget or reading my credit report, I know who to call. This is good information.
Yes,
now,
exactly.
In addition to all of this work, you're also studying international relations at NYU, New York University, and you're going to be an intern with the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. What do you hope to accomplish with this international work?
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm really looking forward to it. One of my main goals with studying international relations is to learn more about global indigeneity as a whole. Obviously, that definitely goes upon kind of furthering my research goals of financial education, and I would love to work with other indigenous economies globally and figure out how to strengthen and indigenize different solutions. Kind of taking also my experiences from my hometown and my homeland and my community and kind of bringing that to an international level. And I think I'm bringing a very unique perspective, having grown up on the reservation, and it makes me very excited to be able to learn in this role and being able to bring new ideas back to Indian country while also being able to share other ideas with other indigenous countries.
And you're also a painter and a poet. How do you fit all of that, your creative inspirations, alongside all of your work and career goals in school?
I would say that I need my creative inspirations, I feel like, in order to do the work that I do. And I also think that I get a lot of my ideas, a lot of my research comes from being creative. So I think that it goes hand in hand, I would say. And I think I definitely just always need like a creative outlet in order to express myself and express my ideas. And so, yeah, I don't know. I find time for the things that make me happy.
How often are you able to get home to Oregon?
I just was home last month for winter break and such, but I try to get home as much as possible. Hopefully, like 1 to 2 times a year right now, but I'm hoping to get back more.
And tell me the timeline on the financial learning app. When do you hope to have that online?
I hope soon, and it's been definitely a work in progress in trying to figure out, I would say, the engineering of the app process, because right now I'm the lead content writer for it, and I've done all the content writing for how I want the app and the learning pedagogy to be implemented. It is more so just kind of working with the programmers and trying to convey my ideas. It's the difficult part. So I'm hoping by the end of the year is like a good timeline, I feel like, for me and all my other responsibilities in order to get it completed.
And what are you hearing from tribal members who will ultimately use the app? Are they excited? Are they giving you feedback?
I've got the opportunity a lot right now with my tribe personally and like some of the youth, and I think they're very optimistic about it and very excited. And I'm definitely, I've heard really great feedback from a lot of other communities about the wanting financial literacy within their communities.
And for this upcoming year here as a champion for change, what do you hope to take away from the program?
I feel like I've already taken away so much just from this 1 week alone, so it makes me very excited about the year to come and the wonderful cohort, which you will get to the opportunity to talk to here soon. And I've learned so much from them, and also, like, I think for me, I'm excited to see the leader I become in this following year, and how much I'm going to be able to, like, learn from my other fellows, a part of the cohort. So I would just say how much I'm excited to see the learning and growth and what I'm able to accomplish along with the other champions.
All right. Well, congratulations to you, Summer Wild Bill, 2026 Champion for Change. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and we'll talk more with all of the champions we have on the show today. We have 3 other young people who have been honored with this prestigious recognition, and the phone lines are open for any listener who would like to join the conversation. Maybe you yourself are a former champion for change, or it is a recognition that you aspire to. Give us a call. We'd like to hear from you. 1-800-99-NATIVE. Among the hundreds of elite athletes at the Winter Olympics in Italy are a handful of Indigenous competitors from Canada, New Zealand, and even Greenland. We'll take the opportunity to talk with people following the Olympics about what to watch out for a week into the Games. That's coming up on the next Native America Calling.
Support by the American Indian College Fund. The American Indian College Fund provides millions of dollars of scholarships to thousands of Native students every year. Tribal citizens of every age and experience are eligible. The deadline for applications is May 31st, and you can find everything you need to apply at collegefund.org. That's collegefund.org, or by phone at 800-766-FUND. Education is the answer.
Thank you for listening to Native America Calling. I'm your host, Sean Spruce, and we are speaking with 4 of the Center for Native American Youth's 2026 Champions for Change. Every year, the center works to recognize a handful of emerging young Native people and foster their leadership and public service skills. Join us with comments or questions. Call 1-800-996-2848. That is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. And of course, you can also leave a comment on our website and social media pages. Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, any of those platforms will work for you. Our next champion for change, Michaelin Peters, joins us now. She is Menominee. And Michaelin, at 24 years old, you are serving as the executive director for the Menominee Nation. What led you to hold a high-level leadership position within your tribe?
Yeah, it was honestly not something I expected to step into at such a young age. When I graduated from my undergrad from UW-Madison, I moved back home to the reservation, and I was actually the administrative assistant at my tribe's youth center, and that the executive director position was posted, and my grandma actually was the executive director a few years prior to that, and she was in that position for 20 plus years, and she had messaged me, and she told me, she's like, you need to quit playing around at the youth center and apply for that job. And fun fact, I'm actually third generation in this position because my great grandmother was executive director after my tribe was restored after termination. And I was actually really intimidated and scared to have when I applied for this. So I applied for the job. And this position is one of 4 positions that interview in front of the entire council of my tribe. I made it to the interview rounds, and when I got to the interview, I honestly, it felt like I was just speaking to family when I was in front of council. And when I stepped out, I felt really good about the interview. And honestly, I feel like all of my fellowships that I had throughout my college career, really prepared me for that. And I actually got off of work and drove home, just pulled into my driveway, and my phone rang, and they offered me the position. And I'm the last grandchild that actually remembers my great grandmother and had a relationship with her before she had passed. And so it was just a very special moment for me, because being third gen in this position, I always hear from so many elders, they're just this office is finally back up and running again, it's being compliant with the Constitution. And I'm really trying to get as much out of it as I can, because being in this space with all of these tribal leaders, and just being able to learn how to take care of 2 budgets, an IDC budget and a budget of tribal dollars, which I did not think I was going to be doing at such an early age. I work with administrators, I work with our finance team, our HR director. I actually incorporated programming into my department, which was never done before. I worked community engagements into my office too, and it's just I'm really trying to encapsulate all my time and take advantage of it, because it's a very unique situation to be an ED at this age, and I'm very thankful, and I really think I was put into this situation because I think it's preparing me for something that I'm going to step into the next stage of my life.
It sure sounds that way, Michaelin. And as you described going before council and it feeling like that's the way it's supposed to feel. That's the way it's supposed to be. So really, really inspirational to hear this story. Now, this past week, Wisconsin held its State of the Tribes address, and it focused on issues like sports betting, protections for wild rice, and education. What issues are you and other leaders at Menominee focused on right now?
Yeah, so I was actually really it was really frustrating that this was at the same time as NCAI here in DC and NIEA. So our tribal leaders really had to be strategic on where we were placing our leaders on travel. So our chairman and our IGA manager came here in DC, and our vice chair and our secretary went to State of the Tribes in Madison. Right now we're focusing on sports betting and removal of a dam right outside of our reservation, and we're also focusing on trying to get our compact pass for our a casino that we're trying to get into Kenosha. And we actually just had our swearing in of our new legislators on Monday, and then we had re-elections for our executive team. So we actually just got a new vice chair and secretary, and our chairman was just re-elected. So those terms are 1 year. So my boss potentially changes every year, which is really like forces me to have to be very adaptive every year. And I was very fortunate to have the same boss this year because I really got to build a relationship with him this past year.
Now, Michaelan, like all the champions, you wear a lot of different hats. You take on a lot of different roles, one of which is serving on the tribe's mental health task force. Tell me about that type of advocacy.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I had lost a sibling to suicide, and that mental task force actually came from that situation because after my brother had passed, there was a few other losses in our community following him. And a lot of members in our community were really hurting. And I had reached out to some of like mentors I had in my community, and I was just like, what can we do? So like me and some of the teachers and social workers, firefighters, the chief of police, the administrators, some people from the clinic, we all had gotten together, and it was honestly, there was like 40 to 50 people in this conference room for the very first meeting, and we were like, this honestly is the mental health task force. And when we first met that meeting, there was so many ideas coming from out that room, and I was the only youth in that room, and I led that entire conversation, and I didn't even like notice that I was leading that conversation. And out of that mental health task force came our annual mental health fair that now continues to this day, and it keeps growing. Like outside agencies come to our reservation every year to that mental health fair, and it's just a lot of different programming came from that mental health task force too, and especially a lot of resources for men's mental health, which I'm like very grateful for because there's a lot of stigma around men's mental health, and we have people that serve on this task force that you wouldn't think would be on like a committee or a task force, like our chief of police or even like some of our basketball coaches that are in the community, like some of the men that you don't think would want to speak up in these spaces, because I have built relationships with them, and they trust me to come in these spaces and speak. So that really originated out of a very traumatic experience in our community, but honestly, it was I think it was kind of meant to happen because it provided a lot of resources for my community and spaces for these people who were hurting to go. And I honestly think that it provided me a space for my voice to grow and to actually come to light. And when I spoke up at that task force, like I had so many ideas, and it really made my trauma and my grief turn into something positive rather than me going to negative outlets. And that's what my family kind of resorts to, and I work really hard to try and break cycles, and that I didn't want to see myself go down that road, and I was really happy that I was able to provide that space for myself.
Michaelan, I'm really impressed, and condolences to your family, of course. Also, you're also a founding member of the Menominee Youth Council. Tell me more about that and how you took on that challenge as well.
Yeah, so the Youth Council is actually we just hit our 1 year mark on February 2nd. So last year the Menominee Tribal Legislature passed a resolution 2502 to formally recognize the Menominee Youth Council. I was meeting with two other women in my community, and they had two clubs that they were meeting with at the Menominee High School. And I had a few students that I was mentoring, and I was explaining to them, I was like, man, like I really want to form a youth council, like that. I really want to bring a group to unity. Like this is something I've always wanted because it was something I wanted for myself. And I was like, we should make this for the future generations to come. And they're just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, and they looked at me, they're like, so what do we have to do? And I was just like, okay, looks like I'm really gonna have to do it. So we went the next day. We went to the high school. We pulled all these clubs together, and there was actually more kids than we anticipated who weren't even in the original clubs that wanted to join. And we wrote up our bylaws and got our logo made, came up with a name, and picked our colors out, everything. We did elections, and then we formally went on the agenda that I make in my position, actually, and went to council in front of MTL, and they formally made a resolution to recognize us. And ever since then, we meet every Wednesday, and every month we meet on the second Sunday, that's where we come out with our formal recommendations that they send up to the MTL. And then the kids on our council, they actually sit on the committee levels of our tribal government. And then that way that they understand what's happening at committee level. So when they get to go sit up at the horseshoe with our tribal leaders, they understand how that issue got to the horseshoe and what happened before it even reached to that level. We're trying to get them comfortable and familiarize their relationship with tribal government, so that when they turn 18, because they're tribal members, they're comfortable sitting or applying and being appointed to these committees, and even potentially wanting to run for state government or be in state government or work for state government. My job isn't just to create leaders. I really want to create rooted leaders. And so I'm into my curriculum that I'm creating with my youth council. I'm really trying to incorporate our culture and our language too. So I also collaborate with our language nonprofit that's on our reservation, Menominee U. I reach out to our elders. We bring in guest speakers. We invite Wisconsin Native out to come in and speak. We go but we also volunteer. So we go into schools and we help with the kids. We go to our aging department and we spend time there. We do so much with the community. I make sure that they give in as much time as they give into themselves. And it's really it's really rewarding. My work is.
It really sounds like it. It's so comprehensive, your strategy and your approach. You're just coming at it from so many angles. Michaela, congratulations. This is wonderful. Champion for Change 2026.
Thank you.
1-800-996-2848. Are you feeling inspired right now, listeners? The stories that we're hearing about these young people and their extraordinary achievements and their leadership qualities, give us a call. Give one of these folks a shout out, or maybe ask them a question. The number again, 1-800-99-NATIVE. Moses Weissman is another champion for change. He is Yupik from the village of Chefornik. And Moses, you are the Alaska Native Languages Program Director at the Alaska Institute for Justice, where you are working on a Yupik glossary. Tell us more about what this project will accomplish.
Hi, yes. So my 9 to 5 is as the Alaska Native Languages Program Director. I work closely with our contracted translators and interpreters, and so we just released the our first phase of the project, and the glossary website is called terminology related to health and well-being. And so the first phase is more on mental and behavioral health terms, and it covers behavioral health terms and mental health terms that, as Native people who speak their native language at home and can comprehend our native language better than we can comprehend complex behavioral health terminology when we're seeking behavioral health care, that the purpose of that is to destigmatize seeking behavioral health and mental health care for right now for Yupik people. I mean, we purposely did the layout so that if other native languages were to translate from English to that native language, they can just utilize the layout that we have. And the second phase, we're currently working on that phase, and that's on urgent care. And when you go to a hospital and you go to the emergency room, and the nurse asks you a question like, "Oh, do you have any allergies? What's your medical history like?" That those would eventually be translated, and bridging that gap between the patient and the medical health care provider is so very crucial to me.
Yeah, Moses, it sounds to me like you grew up speaking Yupik, and you really, really have a very firm understanding not only of the language, but also the many different cultural applications of native languages and how they are just so necessary and vital for our communities. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back. We'll talk more with Moses Weissman. And we also have another champion for change, Kayla Tovis, who will also join the conversation a little bit later. And, of course, the phone lines are open for listeners who would like to join the conversation as well. Just call 1-800-996-2848. We are speaking with the Center for Native American Youth's 2026 Champions for Change. And there are actually 6 champions, and we have 4 of them here on our show today. They're busy. They've got a busy week in Washington, D.C., but they've set aside an hour to talk with us, and we really appreciate that. So give them a call and let them know how much you appreciate and value what they do. 1-800-99-NATIVE.
Tribal Development Partners, helping tribes build toward their goals through 105L leasing and essential facility development, empowering sovereignty, strengthening community. More at tribaldevpartners.com, proud supporters of this show.
Need an actionable plan to achieve your goals? Kaufman & Associates strengthens Native organizations through culturally grounded strategic planning. More at kaufmaninc.com, KAUFFMANINC.com.
You are listening to Native America Calling. Let's continue this conversation with our Champions for Change. Listeners can join us, 1-800-99-NATIVE, or keep the conversation going on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out. Moses Weissman is Yupik from the village of Chifornik, and he is one of our champions for change that we're talking with today. And Moses, before break, you explained the Yupik glossary that you are working on. Have you noticed other ways that Alaska Native translations can be strengthened in Alaska?
Yeah, there are so many other ways that it can be strengthened. So the platform that I'm focusing on as a 2026 champion for change is language, whether that be language access, language revitalization, cultural revitalization. The root of our being is our oral history, and language involves that. And bridging the gap between any social services that are offered for our people and allowing them to understand what they're signing up for, not only what they're signing up for, but having them know what they're getting involved with and why they should get help or why they should sign up for something, and having that bridge so it can be easy for them to comprehend. When a person is stressed, when a person is under stress, they start thinking more in their first language than they do in their, if they speak English as a second language.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that in my own family all the time. They get really scared and they start talking and really yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is fascinating, Moses. Please continue.
And so, yeah, I mean, I've seen that a lot in many cases. I mean, with the work that I've been doing, offering interpretation services to evacuees as well. I mean, when the process of helping bridging that gap when it comes to offering interpretation services. So, because before I came into DC, I was asking my mom, I was like, because I know my grandfather was so very intelligent. He was so smart, but he didn't graduate high school. But he was on the board for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Health Corporation from 1984 to 1989. And I asked her, I was like, did he speak English? And my mom had told me that he needed a translator. And I just found that so very inspiring because he was such a very wise being.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Moses, amidst all of this, you're working on an MBA in leadership at Alaska Pacific University. What qualities do you hope to offer, either business or other pursuits that you're interested in?
I'm interested in a lot of things. I'm interested in how we can bridge how we handle businesses in modern society while also maintaining our tribal sovereignty and what it means to belong in tribal businesses and, taking the roots of your values as Indigenous beings and what it truly means to navigate your leadership journey while also pursuing higher education as well.
Moses, congratulations on this honor, 2026 Champion for Change. We have another Champion for Change on the line in Washington, D.C. This is Kayla Tovis. She is Kanaka Maoli and Acoma Pueblo. And Kayla, like all of the champions that we're speaking with today, you balance an array of priorities. You're a senior at Cornell University. You're co-president of the University Science and Engineering Society. You're co-president of the Cornell Hawaii Club. And you're a student ambassador for the Brooks School of Public Policy Washington program. What drives you to take all of these pursuits on? And when do you have time to eat and relax?
It's definitely hard trying to balance all of these things, but I do it because I believe that there should be Hawaiian representation on my campus. A lot of the times there isn't enough Pacifica representation in higher education, and I feel that it's important for me to be in these spaces so other students can see that it's possible to do what I'm doing as well.
Now, you're double majoring, American Studies and Government. You've got a minor in American Indian Studies. What led you to studying government?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was super involved in advocacy, whether that was like environmental justice back home in Hawaii, and even like civic engagement. And for me, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm interested in what led you to studying government among your other academic pursuits.
Yes. Just being super involved in advocacy during high school is what led me to wanting to go into government. And originally, I had actually thought I wanted to be a lawyer, but about 2 years ago, I had the privilege of coming to Washington, D.C. through the Cornell in Washington program. And through that, I was able to actually work for my senator's office here in D.C. as a legislative intern. And there, I was exposed to the wide world of public policy. And now I want to start using the skills that I gained through my government major to work on policy issues here in D.C. someday.
Now, that was an internship with Senator Brian Schatz, is that right?
Yes, Senator Schatz.
Yeah, that's really cool. And tell me more about that internship and just some of the experiences you had and just the leadership opportunities that it granted you.
Yes, I definitely got to see what it looks like inside of DC. Like living in Hawaii, I feel that we're almost detached from the continental U.S. and the way that our policymakers make decisions for us. And I wanted to go to DC to see how our system works. And there I was exposed to tax policies, education policies, health policies, and just a whole world of policies that I had never even thought of. And getting to go to hearings and briefing my office on the things that I had learned was super eye-opening for me.
Native Hawaiian, Native American policies, your Acoma Pueblo, your Kanaka Maoli, what are the issues that you're most passionate about? And do you see some overlap there between the different cultures?
Definitely. My passions are in education and language revitalization. Growing up, I had actually attended immersion school, and I had learned very young how to navigate my culture through my language and how I relate to the world through my language. I always tell people that my very first memory that I can recall is in Olelo Hawaii. It's in Hawaiian language, and because of that, my language is something that I carry with me through everything that I do.
Tell me more about your family, Kayla, and who you draw inspiration from.
Totally. Yes, my family. I come from a family of Olelo speakers, Native Hawaiian speakers. My papa is a Hawaiian practitioner who actually gave me my name. Ku'uahulili is my Hawaiian name, and it refers best to like the way the water glitters in the sun. And my cousins, my little cousins, speak Olelo, and they all live out in Hau'ula on the east side of my island, where they're just super rooted in our culture. And because of that, I'm extremely passionate of making sure that kids like my cousin continue to have access to their culture and access to education through their languages.
Now, where do you see yourself in the future? Are you interested in a career in politics?
Yes, definitely. I'm graduating from Cornell in May, like you mentioned earlier, and I'm hoping to come back here to DC to work in the policy space for a little bit. And then after some time, I'm hoping to return home and kind of do more on the ground work and working closer with the keiki, with our children back home in Hawaii, and teaching them their language.
And the other Champions for Change, how many opportunities do you have to network and learn from them? And what inspires you most about the other members of your cohort?
Yes, everyone here is so inspirational, and it's amazing to see that not only are we connected through shared experiences, but also how different we are just because of our different tribes and our different backgrounds, but also learning from that and seeing how I can use some of the methods and the models that they use to serve their communities and how I can bring that back to Hawaii to help my people as well.
Tell me more about what is happening there this week with the Champions for Change and what you're going to do as soon as you get back to your other career, your other pursuits.
Yeah, so this week we've had a fun-filled and extremely busy week, but yesterday we specifically had Hill Day where we all had the opportunity to go to Capitol Hill and talk with our representatives and senators. I especially feel like I had a strong connection with my representatives and senators. I had the opportunity to talk with them about this resolution that they're making for Mahina Olelo Hawaii, which is Hawaiian Language Month, which is the month of February. So I was able to talk with them about the resolution that they're making for Mahina Olelo Hawaii and some verbiage that I offered them to put in there. I feel that Hawaiian language is at the forefront of language revitalization in these days. Especially I hear from other tribal communities that they draw from the models that Native Hawaiians have used to like gain momentum, trying to proliferate our language in our communities. And I was able to explain that to my representatives and showcase that Hawaiian should be highlighted at the forefront of language revitalization, especially during Hawaiian Language Month, and especially during a time where our country is trying to diminish Native languages. Mm-hmm. And then moving past what we're doing here in DC, when I go back to Cornell, I'm just looking forward to finishing out my senior year and hopefully coming back to DC.
Right on. Kayla, tell me more about your Acoma side of the family. I'm from Laguna Pueblo, so Acoma and Laguna, of course, are sister villages. I'm interested.
Yes. Oh, that's so awesome. I've actually never been to New Mexico, which is kind of crazy to think about considering I have so much family over there. My papa is the one who is Acoma on my family side, and he's the only one of his siblings who doesn't live out in New Mexico. So for me growing up,
learning about my culture was mostly just whatever my family from New Mexico had sent back to me, whether that was like jewelry or books or just pictures of my ancestors. And even my papa, I learned from him stories of what it was like growing up in New Mexico too.
Well, we need to get you to New Mexico. You need to come visit for sure.
Thankfully, my papa, my graduation gift in May is actually to bring me to New Mexico and to visit all of my family in celebration of my graduation.
That makes me happy, Kayla. That makes me very happy. Now, the Hawaiian language, what would you like to see in terms of having it strengthened and just spoken more widely and just the sustainability aspect?
Mm-hmm. That was actually one of the main points I brought up yesterday during my Hill Day with my senators and representatives. I understand that we are getting funding from the federal government for our Native Hawaiian language programs, but what I would love to see is efforts to create more retention for Native educators in Hawaii. Of course, we have programs that are teaching our children Hawaiian language, but oftentimes it's hard for our educators to be able to stay in those spaces just because of the cost of living in Hawaii is so high. Oftentimes they have to switch jobs to be able to sustain themselves in our economy. And because of that, I was talking with my legislators about how I would love to see some sort of amendment to our bills or different efforts trying to help out our Native educators, whether that be through like federal loan relief or even scholarship opportunities, so we can continue having our Native educators teaching our children their language.
Kayla, going back to your internship with Senator Schatz, you studied gender inequities, and I'm curious to learn, how have you seen public policy improve lives in your community in Hawaii?
Yeah, definitely. I think public policy can be transformative for communities, and I was able to witness that while working in DC, and also just when I was in high school as well. I was on the advocacy club for my school. My friend and I had organized that together, and through that club, we were actually able to get this menstrual equity bill passed for the state of Hawaii, and because of it, we were able to mandate free menstrual products across the state.
Kayla, thank you very much for coming on the show, and congratulations with all of your success. Wonderful to have you along with the other champions.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and just give each of our champions one more opportunity to respond quickly, if you could, because we're running a little bit low on time. But Summer Wild Bill, I want to begin with you. What's next? What do you have planned here in the coming weeks and months?
Right now, I think I'm just keeping myself busy and working towards, I guess, like financial education. After getting to be here in DC during NCAI week, I got to meet with wonderful tribal leaders who also seem very interested in bringing financial education to their reservation. So I would love to connect back with those leaders and other policy leaders that we also got to meet with, and kind of just really bring financial education into these spheres as much as possible.
Okay, thank you, Summer. Michaelan Peters, how about you? What's next?
Yeah, so I actually I coach 12U softball for Tribal Storm, which is a Native nonprofit that we just started last year, which serves Indigenous girls in the state of Wisconsin to all 11 nations. So I'll actually be traveling all over Wisconsin for tournaments this summer, and then I'm looking forward to golf, and then we're in the middle of fundraising season to get my youth council to the Unity Conference in Oklahoma City this July.
All right, thank you, Michaelan. Moses Weissman, how about you?
Well, this week in DC has gave me a lot of ideas on what I should look forward to this year, and I have a bunch of groundwork to do once I get back to Anchorage.
All right, thank you, Moses. Kayla, about 20 seconds. What's next? What excites you about the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, just definitely getting to work with my Native communities back on campus after I've harnessed all of these skills here with CNAY, and then finishing off my semester strong until graduation.
All right. Well, with that, we are out of time. But again, big thanks to our 4 champions for change who joined us today: Kayla Tovis, Moses Weissman, Michaelan Peters, and Summer Wild Bill. Don't forget, you can join us again tomorrow. We'll be taking a look at the indigenous athletes competing in the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy. I'm Sean Spruce. You've been listening to the one, the only Native America Calling. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hear that? That's everything tribal college faculty do for their students on Fast Forward. Because if one tried to say it in real time, they'd be here all day. They teach, guide, comfort, and connect. And for that, the community is grateful. Learn more at mostthoroughdjobdescription.com. The American Indian College Fund supports this program.
They give extensions, share progress, share laughter, create calm, and allow reflection. They inspire hope, share wisdom, guide gently, elevate healing.
Who protects Indian country? Amerind does. As the only 100% tribally owned insurance carrier, Amerind helps strengthen tribal communities by providing reliable insurance coverage and keeping dollars in Indian country. From property and liability to commercial auto and tribal workers' compensation, Amerind is here to protect what matters. Celebrating 40 years of serving Indian country. Learn more at amerind.com. That's AMERIND.com.
Native America Calling is produced in the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation, a Native nonprofit media organization. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting with support from the Public Radio Satellite Service. Music is by Brent Michael Davids. Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.